We'll start with the prayers. Om Sahana Bhavato Sahano Bhunakto Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma Viddhishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We are doing Panchadasi for fourth chapter, Advaita Viveka Prakaranam. In this chapter, Swami Vidyaranya wants us to realize our nature as Advaita Swarupa Atma. Advaitam is a very unique concept of Vedanta. That is why it takes a long time for us to prepare the mind through Karma Yoga and Upasana Yoga. Be ready to receive Mahavakyam from the Upanishads and then realize this truth of Atma. So this subject matter of self-inquiry, it's a three-legged process consisting of shravanam, mananam, and nididhyasana. Shravanam is listening to the scriptures, mananam is dwelling on the scriptures, and nididhyasana is claiming that I am Atma. This exercise we are doing in chapter 4 is an exercise in mananam. We are trying to understand through different methodologies given out by Swami Vidyaranya. He's a great acharya, is a great teacher of Advaita Vedanta, and how he has taught his students about Atma. We are learning same thing which was taught about 800 years ago by this teacher of Vedanta. Shankaracharya's philosophy of Advaita Vedanta is not a very easy philosophy to follow. It is a very unique philosophy to explain the scriptures. Almost every other philosophy believes in Dvaita. I am the subject and the world I experience is an object of experience. Therefore, there are two things in the world, me and the world. Shankaracharya says there is no me and the world, there is only me. The world which I see, experience, transact is meaningful only at a lower plane of consciousness. But at the higher plane, there is only me. I am the consciousness in this creation. There is nothing else except me. This is the message of the Upanishads. This is the message of Shankaracharya, which is confirmed by Swami Vidyaranya in this chapter. We have finished 38 verses out of 69 verses. Today we are going to start with the 39th verse. The 39th verse onwards till 66th verse. This is a new section we are going to enter today. And this section will teach us how to understand Advaitam while existing in this world, how to be free from our mind, which is the cause of Dvaitam. So let me go straight to this chapter, how to get rid of our bondage. What is our bondage? Bondage is my identification with the body and with the mind as me. You must be very clear about this basic lesson in the chapter. Body is an experienced object in consciousness. Mind is an experienced object in consciousness. I am consciousness. That is the ultimate teaching of the Veda. In order to understand that, I have to understand the mechanism by which we experience the world. So from 39 to 66, Bandha Nivritti, that is the topic. Bandha Nivritti means bondage, elimination of bondage from our mind. According to the scriptures, the bondage exists only as a notion in the mind. It is nowhere else in the world, nor in Atma. World is jada. It doesn't have anything else. It is just inert creation of God. Atma is God. Atma is the nature of Chaitanyam. That is the nature of God. Now, I am the jiva who is caught in between Atma and the world. And this jiva has to realize it is not the body which is jadam. It is not the mind which is jadam. Intrinsically, yeah. Today, the mind is sentient. It is able to talk. It's able to listen. It's able to work. It's able to function. The sense organs are functioning. But what Upanishads tell us is that the body by itself is not sentient. There is a separate sentiency factor, and that is my real identity. Okay, so 39th verse, let me play this verse first.
Tatkalikadvaita shanta Tatkalikadvaita shanta Vapyagami janikshayah Vapyagami janikshayah Brahma jnanam vina na syat Brahma jnanam vina na syad iti vedanta dindimaha iti vedanta dindimaha.
This is an answer to the Purva Pakshi, the objectionist, which was mentioned in verse number 38. In verse number 38, which we finished last week, there is an objection by the yoga philosophy. Yoga philosophy says that you don't need the world at all because everything is in the mind. You just get rid of the mind and then you can discover moksha. Here the reply is by the Advaitham. What does the Advaitham's reply says? It says, controlling the mind, you can make the duality disappear. But this disappearance is only temporary. See, ultimately, you want to realize the permanent happiness, which is Advaita principle. It is non-dual principle. And what yoga achieves is a temporary cessation of the mind. Chitta vritti yoga nirodha. So, through yoga, Ashtanga yoga, what Vidyaranya says is, you can quieten the mind, but then it will again erupt. Again, you will fall into duality. Again, you will be in sorrow. What will give me what will give me the cessation of the mind forever? And that is the knowledge of Brahman. And Vidyaranya says, Iti Vedanta Dindimaha. Vedanta Dindimaha means what? It is proudly proclaimed by Veda in all the scriptural texts. You will find this is the proclamation. That there is a non-dual self, which is called as Brahman. That Brahman is the reality. It is the cosmic being. In that cosmic being, jivas are coming in waking state and go back into sleep state. Again, they come back to waking state, again they go back to sleep state. Jivas are experiencing these two states and in between the dream state. But the three states are not real, but the substratum in which the three states are coming and going is the reality. Svetasvatara Upanishad describes this Brahman in this verse, chapter 2, verse 15. And it says that this divine nature is unborn, it is eternal, which means it is not affected by time. See, waking state is affected by time. It remains for only 8 hours, maybe 20 out of 24 hours, 16 hours, 17 hours. And maybe if you don't sleep for 2-3 days, you can have waking state continuously for 4 days, 5 days. But still, at the end of the 5th day, you will go to sleep. And you will experience another world in which a world is not there. This world of waking is not there. But what about the world of consciousness? The world of consciousness, that I am just calling it world, just to segregate consciousness from our waking state. The consciousness, the pure nature of myself is, number one, it is self-luminous. Self-luminous means it is self-evident. It knows itself. It knows its nature. By knowing that nature of mind, not this nature with the body and mind, I will be able to come out of this bondage. That is what is the essence of these verses. So, in this Svetasvatara Upanishad, what are the indications given? Number one, it is unborn. It is unborn means it is eternal. Time does not affect that consciousness. See, today we are saying it is that consciousness, but you should always remember the Upanishad wants us to go deep inside ourselves and acknowledge that I am unborn. I am eternal. I am free from the modifications of Prakriti, which is the body or the mind or the world. Prakriti means three things: the world, body, mind. And all these three are matter principles. The only thing which is not matter is the spiritual essence. That spiritual essence, I have to learn to segregate from matter principle. So when you go through these verses, you will come to a conclusion that there is something which is different than this mind and body. Till that happens, you will always be in samsara. Samsara means you are identifying with the body and mind as the self. In Shvetashvatara Upanishad, in the next chapter of Shvetashvatara Upanishad, the 8th verse, it says, I have realized that great being, Vedahamitam Purusham Mahantam. I know that great being, which is known only from the Upanishads. And it is always beyond darkness. It is beyond death. And on realizing that, I will become immortal. I will become free from birth and death. See, for this elimination of samsara, we have to learn whatever the Upanishad tells us, we have to take it and accept it as the truth. What will yoga give? Yoga will only give chitta vritti nirodha, which is momentary. So when I quieten the mind through yoga, my mental world will end, but only temporarily. The moment you end the yoga, again the Advaita will come back. Manasa Jagat will come back. Again, Sukham and Dukham will start. That is what Advaitham wants to say in this particular verse. The essence is yoga is temporary, gives us temporary cessation from sorrow. But if I have to put a permanent end to the mind and make it free from sorrow, the only way is to learn the way the Upanishad teach me about my mind, about who I am. Mind will take rebirth if the mind is not taught its original nature as Atma. See, our teaching is all for our mind. It is not for the body. Body is inert, but the mind is sentient. The teaching we are learning these scriptures. What we hope to do is remove the ignorance which is there in the mind. Vidyaranya compares this knowledge of yoga like a band-aid which we use. Suppose we have we are bitten by some poisonous animal or something. We run to the doctor to take tetanus injection because something has gone into our body. So similarly, by doing this, yoga is only a temporary aid. It is not permanent solution, is what Vidyaranya wants to convey. When we understand the nature of the self correctly, we are all at peace forever. Because the mind ceases to act in the same way as it used to act before the knowledge. Without Brahmajnanam, there is no scope to put an end to Bandha. Chandogya Upanishad clearly states Jnanat evatu kaivalyam. Jnanat evatu kaivalyam means it is only from the knowledge of this Atma or Brahman I can put an end to the sorrow which I'm experiencing. Kaivalya Upanishad, the last verse of the Upanishad is this verse. What does this verse say? Knowledge destroys the endless experience of change. Change here means transmigration. See, I am born, again I am reborn, again I die, again I am reborn. So Kaivalya Upanishad says, only this Brahma Jnanam will give us the final cessation from sorrow of samsara. Jnatva mrityum apnoti. I get rid of mortality through this knowledge. See, Swami Chinmayananda used to give this example. Suppose a person is in a boat in a river. What will he experience? He'll be tossed up and down. Because he is inside the boat is being tossed by the waves, and therefore he'll be tossed up and down. What do I have to do so that I am not tossed up and down? I have to move out of the boat into the shore. Being seated in the boat, I will always be in samsara. Coming out of the boat means what? Coming out of our mind and claiming our real nature as ever free Atma. If we sit in our mind all the time, what will happen? Again and again, some sort of thoughts will keep going on, and then you will keep on identifying with those thoughts as yourself. So tell yourself, I am not in the thoughts, I am someone different from the thoughts which I experience. In this way, my adhyasa, my superimposition with the thoughts will be gone. This is the essence of the verse number 39. Here I have given you some revision slides. You can go through this at your own time. I'll just highlight some aspects of this revision notes. See what we have to, this particular chart I have shown here, Sakshi, mind, senses, world. World, external world which we see is Ishvara Srishti. Okay, please understand this chart here. Sakshi is the light, pure light. It can exist by itself. World cannot exist independently. But this light of Atma or Sakshi can exist, and this is what I am in my sleep state. I am of the nature of pure consciousness in my sleep state, which I don't know today. In sleep, what I'm doing, I'm sleeping to my real nature of Atma. Through Vedanta, I try to understand in the waking state, who am I? Not only in the sleep state, but also in the waking state. Because this is what is called as Bhaga Tyaga Lakshana. I remove the non-essential factor, retain the essential factor in the sleep state. Essential factor is what? I am Atma. In the waking state, the essential factor is I am Atma. Non-essential factor in the sleep state is the body and mind is sleeping. Mind especially is sleeping, therefore body is almost not experienced. The senses and the mind are illumined only from the light of Atma. That Sakshi which you see in the extreme left, that is the light which illumines the mind illumines the senses, and then the senses experience the external world. So our study is at the mind level. If you know how this whole operation takes place in this format, by removing the mind mirror, I can know that the world is eliminated. And this is only knowledge. You see, ultimately, we can't remove the Ishvara Srishti at all, because that is ever there. It is permanently there. Through knowledge, through falsification of the world, that the world is mithya, it is not really there, I learn to say, I am Satyam, world is mithya. That is what we have to learn in this section. This holds up to 66 words is this teaching. So I don't have to get rid of the world. I only have to falsify the world as seemingly being there. It is there. In my waking state, I'm experiencing the world. Only thing what Vedanta says is, it is a seeming experience. It is not a factual, real experience of the world. Nature of the senses is to reveal the objects, whether it serves the purpose or not. See, the Purva Pakshi in the previous verse, in 38th verse, you were saying there is no purpose in the of the objects in the world. Why are you bringing the objects? Because everything is in the mind only. But here the Vedantin says that whether there is purpose or not, the sense organs will always reveal the nature of the world. What causes the samsara or problem for the jiva is the thinking which is involved in us. I must learn how to look at the world through the vision of Vedanta. So this is the same which I explained to you, that it is the antakaranam which goes out, and it is not the factual existence of the world. Okay, so there are two statements which the yogin makes. Number one, by knowledge of Brahman, liberation is gained. Vedantin says, Ishvara Srishti can't end. Jiva Srishti can end, but it is not possible to get rid of the external world. This is a very important point in all these discussions. As long as there is an external world, there can't be knowledge of Brahman, is what Yogacharya says. Yogacharya says that as long as the world is there, duality will be there. So how can you get rid of the world? That is what now Vidyaranya will try to explain in the following verses. Next verse.
अनिवृत्तेऽपीश सृष्टे द्वैते तस्य मृषात्मताम् बुद्धा ब्रह्माद्वयं बोद्धम् शक्यं वस्त्वैक्यवादिनः
So in this verse, Vidyaranya says that in your mind, you can only put an end to your own projections and wrong conclusions which you have arrived in your mind about the world. And what is the wrong conclusion? That the world is real. What is the right conclusion? The world is illusory. It is like the mirage water. It is like the rope snake. It is caused by your mind's projections. That is what is Advaita philosophy. But in order to know that the mind is the cause, it is illusory, you must know Brahman. And what is that Brahman? Brahman is the consciousness bit, which I have explained in the 39th verse. You know how that consciousness is the ultimate substratum for the entire universe. You should always keep that in mind when you are trying to get rid of sorrow in your life. Always remember, sorrow is in the mind. And without that I thought in the mind, there is no sorrow. Because the moment you wake up in the morning, the I thought comes. This is the way in Upadesha Sara, Swami, in Upadesha Sara, we find a similar thought pattern where sorrow can be eliminated if you know the substratum called the mind, which is the I thought. Swami Vidyaranya also dwells on the internal aspect of the mind again and again in all these chapters. So here the conclusion is Ishvara Srishti can't be put on end, only Jiva Srishti can be put on end. What he says, what is the Advaitin says, even if the mind is there, what does it matter? Ishvara Srishti cannot end. Then this is how the argument takes place from a Purva Pakshi. He says, suppose Ishvara Srishti, you say it cannot be ended. That means there is no, that means there is duality. But then now, Swami Vidyaranya says, yes, I agree with you, but then you understand it is a false world. That aspect of falsification he brings in this verse. When one understands falsity of the world, tasya mrishatamam buddhva. See, this is how Vidyaranya brings Advaita philosophy into a reality. Anytime you want to know the ultimate truth of the world, you should always remember, Aham Brahmasmi, I am that pure consciousness. But then what happens to the world which you have experienced? What Swami Vidyaranya says is, reject or eliminate that world as an illusion, as a false entity which used to be there, but now it is gone. Exactly like what? The rope snake. Rope snake is a false entity which the mind has created. Rope is always there. If I know rope is always there as a substratum of rope snake, similarly, consciousness is always there as a substratum for the mind's projections. By knowing the substratum, by knowing the rope, I can then say that the rope snake which I was imagining is false. So similarly, all our projections during our waking state or the dream state, it is the projection of the mind. Again and again, Vidyaranya says, it is the mind which is the cause of samsara. It is not the reality. Atma, Sakshi, the self, Paramatma, whatever name you can give, the Lord, God, whatever name you can give, that is the reality. Remove the wrong notion from your mind, and then you can realize the self. This is the way, in this particular chapter, number 4, Swami Vidyaranya, through the Jiva Srishti, tries to bring out the element of moksha. Very ingeniously he does it. Brahma Advayam Bodhyum Shakyam. It is possible to understand non-duality of the self. Non-duality of the self means what? This whole world is existing in that Brahman, in that consciousness. It rises from consciousness, it exists in consciousness, and it resolves into this consciousness. That is the knowledge which I have to gain. So once falsity or unreality of the world is comprehended, you don't have to wait for anything else. Same time, immediately, you will realize non-dual Brahman. This is the essence. Ultimately, what do I want to know? I want to know who am I? I am that pure consciousness, non-dual in nature, Advaitam. Why we say Advaitam? Because consciousness exists independently as we all experience in our sleep. This is where the subtle teaching, your intellect has to do this subtle thinking. What is there in the sleep state and which is continuing in the waking state? What is not in the waking state? What is there in the waking state, but it is not there in the sleep state? This discrimination your mind has to do. Jagrat world is like swapna, projected by that pure consciousness with the help of Maya Shakti. See, we are in Jagrat trying to get rid of Jagrat Avastha and trying to understand what is the substratum of this whole waking state. This is the problem faced by all the seekers. And this is solved technically when you go and understand what happens really with reference to consciousness and the experience of the world. I'll explain this chart to you. The pure consciousness is called as Paramarthika Satyam, absolute reality. Now that is projecting the entire waking state for all the jivas. And when this happens, it is called as Ishvara Srishti. So this is one level in which you have to understand the reality. There's pure consciousness. It is projecting this waking world, which is called as Ishvara Srishti. And the second level is what? Jiva Srishti. The Jiva projects an internal world, Raf, Raga, and Dvesha. I like certain things in this world. I don't like certain things. Now, this is where ignorance is there. Jiva, his mind does not know this whole chart. Jiva is trying now to go back to his root. Where am I? What is this mind? I am experiencing the mind, but what is this I thought in the mind? That is what is the root cause of the samsara. The jiva can project a dream world. This you will understand because all of us experience the dream world. Now that is also because of some Shakti. There is a power. So acknowledge that you have the power to create a dream world. Acknowledge that Brahman, the pure consciousness, has the power to create the waking world. Because this is very important for the mind to acknowledge and accept. For a yoga practitioner, the mind has to end only. That's all. He doesn't know about Brahman and all that. Now, Advaitin says you have to know Brahman, you have to know the consciousness. Unless and until you know the nature of the world and the nature of the mind, you will not be able to come out of samsara. The self is one, and it is always non-dual. Non-dual means what? It alone exists. See, this is what the Mahavakya teaches us. So Advaitin requires comprehension of the falsity of the mind and the world. This is why Shankaracharya says, Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya. That is what is explained here. Mithya means it is experienced. But only thing we say Mithya because it doesn't have independent reality. What about Satyam? Satyam has independent reality. This is the unique thinking of Advaita. When you see the snake on the rope, what we say is there is only rope snake. We don't say there is a rope and snake. We only say there is rope snake. Similarly, we don't say there is Brahman and the world. We only say there is a world. Brahman is the substratum without which this world cannot exist. That is the Advaitin's philosophy. Similarly, without the sand, mirage, water cannot exist. Okay? So similarly, without Brahman, there cannot be this, there is no possibility. I mean, Kathopanishad says very clearly, Nehana nasti kinchana. There is no world apart from you, the self, the consciousness. These are slightly subtle topics. So, you know, the subtlety of the analysis, you will find a little bit challenging, but you will understand it as we go through. See, we have to go till the 66th verse to eliminate this mind as a false entity. Brahma Advayam Bodhyam Shakyam. It is possible to comprehend a single non-individual self. Okay? This is very similar what I've explained so far. Okay. I'm going a little bit skipping some of the slides because I don't want to repeat the same essence which I have said. You can go through it if you have time, but otherwise, this is the essence of this particular verse. The world can be there, it need not end. Only in your mind, you only have the understanding that the world is not independently existing. It has to have me. Unless I am there, then only the world exists. When I, the consciousness principle, am there as the substratum, I lend existence to this world of experiences. Okay, let's move to the next verse.
प्रलये तन्निवृत्तौ तु प्रलये तन्निवृत्तौ तु गुरुशास्त्राद्यभावतः विरोधिद्वैताभावेऽपि न शक्यं बोद्धुमद्वयम्
See here, this is another presentation argument from the opposition. What he says is, when according to Veda, the world disappears in pralayam. I'm sure you must have heard pralayam. Pralayam is a state in which the entire universe gets dissolved, and what remains is that pure Brahman alone remains. The same state is our sleep state. Very similar. It is just an example. Our sleep state is just an example. And in the sleep state also, if you don't know, see, for example, like us, we are all ignorant today. We don't know what really happens in sleep state. We think that the world has ended. But we don't know that there is Atman in the sleep state. That is the realization which Vidyaranya wants to bring in this particular verse. Atman still remains unknown as in the deep sleep state. See, in deep sleep state, we don't know Atma. We don't know I am there. This is where the crux of the whole problem is. In your mind, you should be able to say, I am there in the sleep state. Who is this I? What is the nature of this I which exists in the sleep state? There is no teacher and there is no scripture. And there is absence of duality. See, now this is very important. You should really, your mind should be able to experience what is the duality and what is Advaita, non-duality. In waking, there is duality. In sleep, there is non-duality. Each one of you should compare the two states in our mind. What is duality? What is non-duality? Duality is subject-object world. Triputi is there. Instruments are there. Mind is there. Body is there. Sense organs are there. Then only we experience the world of duality. In sleep, what happens? In sleep, there is no duality. I alone am. That I, what is that I? That I is called as non-dual Atma. This is the knowledge I must get from the scriptures, and I must own that as my real nature. That is what Vidyaranya is trying to bring out in all these verses. Here, he is talking about pralaya. I have given you the description of pralaya, which happens in about 4.3 million years. Okay? The calculation of pralaya and the day of Brahmaji is all given here. But anyway, this is only academic interest. But it is an astronomical number. The whole creation comes to an end. That Big Bang, which we talk in science, that is what is described here as pralaya. But even during Big Bang, consciousness is there. Always remember, I am there all the time. I am the pure consciousness. Whether the world is experienced or not experienced, I, the consciousness, am there. So, Advaitam is not experienced in the pralayam state as well in the sleep state. But that is not the problem. The problem is I must know that Atma exists. So, world is not my enemy as such. Ishvara Srishti is not the problem. Only I have to have the knowledge of Advaita Atma. There is something which is there all the time, in which there is the world which comes and goes. That is what is called as Advaita Atma. Okay. Next verse.
Abadhakam sadhakam cha द्वैतमीश्वरनिर्मितम् द्वैतमीश्वरनिर्मितम् अपनेतुमशक्यं चेति अपनेतुमशक्यं चेति आस्तां तद्विष्यते कुतः आस्तां तद्विष्यते कुतः.
Here, Vidyaranya tries to inform us that Ishvara Srishti is not a cause for samsara. He is bringing the same topic which he had discussed earlier. In this verse, he is saying, the world of duality created by Ishvara is not an obstacle. Don't take it as an obstacle. Because of the world only, I'm facing all the sorrow. No, no. Take the world as a experience to come to the Advaita principle. Let the duality consider, you let the duality exist as it is, but let this duality bring you to the state of non-duality. That is what Vidyaranya is saying in this verse. We don't need to destroy the creation in order to realize the self. Just in your own mind, you will be able to eliminate the world as a false entity which is being experienced. Ishvara nirmitam dvaitam. The realm of duality is created by the Lord. I have not created the world. See, the sun, the stars, the earth, the moon, the water, 5 elements, all this, it's not my creation. It is the Lord who has created it for the jiva. And in this, why this happens, it is law of karma. Our prarabdha karma is getting exhausted. See, but through, we have done many actions. See, this is another Upanishadic philosophy to explain what the world is. World is as per the law of karma. Law of karma says the jivas will be born to enjoy sukham and to experience dukkham in the world. That is the only purpose of the world. But then through the practice of upasana and karma yoga, I try to understand the nature of this world and try to come out of this world. That is what is the jiva trying to do here. Through chitta ekagrata and chitta shuddhi. Chitta shuddhi is through karma yoga. Chitta ekagrata is through the upasana yoga. I try to learn Vedanta. Vedanta says there is a different self, which is the conscious self. Consciousness is my real nature. Ishvara Srishti is only superimposition on that consciousness. For example, you had a dream. Two weeks ago, you had some dream. What difference does it make today to you? Nothing. Similarly, you had waking experiences so far in your life. Today, does it make any difference what you experienced when you were 10 years old, 20 years old, 30 years old? Does it make any difference today? In today's life, does it make any difference? No. That means experiences of the world can be eliminated as a simple Ishvara Srishti. In your own mind, you don't have to tell this to everybody outside. That is what Vidyaranya is saying. See, these are all very subtle verses for our mind to dwell on it and say, this is what is the nature of the world. That's all. And then look at what is the substratum of this whole creation. What is the need to have dvesha towards the Ishvara Srishti is what Vidyaranya is asking. He says, don't have any, you don't have to run away from the world. Understand the world, what is it for? In what way am I experiencing the world? Through the consciousness, mind, and the sense organs, world is experienced. This Ishvara Srishti, the external world, cannot be put to an end. What can be put an end is only the Jiva Srishti. That is what we should understand. Internal world can be put to an end by Chitta Vritti Nirodha. But that is not the solution. The solution is falsification of the world. Even if Ishvara Srishti is there, to know the world is a projection on Brahman is the way to moksha. That is what is Brahma Jnana. Okay, so that is what is the essence of this particular verse. Give up the thoughts, but hold on to the sakshi, the experiencer, the consciousness principle. Okay, we move on to the 43rd verse.
शास्त्रीयं जीवद्वैतं तु शास्त्रीयम् अशास्त्रीयमिति द्विधा उपाददीतशास्त्रीयम् आतत्वस्यावबोधनात्.
Okay, this verse, I think time is up today. So I will take up this verse next week, 43rd verse. Next week, I will have the session on Wednesday. After that, there will be a break of about 4 weeks. Then I will not have any sessions till the 23rd of till the 24th of December. My next session will be next week, both Wednesday session and Saturday session. But after that, there will be no sessions. I will be stopping all sessions from the 24th of this month. From the 23rd itself, the Wednesday session, I will not be having on the 23rd. Next week will be the last session, and then we'll have a break, and we'll continue this chapter number 4 once I return. Today, next week, we'll try and finish up these verses. You just hear these verses, you see all these, you will not get to the depth of these verses immediately. But as you hear these verses, you will understand what is Jiva Srishti and Ishvara Srishti. In the end of the chapter, you should say, yes, I understand this is what is created by me, and this is what is created by Ishvara. What is created by Ishvara, I cannot change. But what is created by me, I can know what it is, and I can try to eliminate that. That is what is the whole objective behind this whole chapter. Okay, so we'll continue this particular 43rd verse next week. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamathaya Purnamevavasishyate Om Shanti. 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 There are no messages in the chat box. If you have any questions, you can ask them. Yeah, Ram Kumar, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask you one small doubt. This avasthas,
Yeah.
this sakshi, is it reflected consciousness in all the three avasthas?
Yes, it is.
It is a reflected consciousness.
That's correct. You see, Sakshi is separate. It gets reflected in all the three avasthas. So in the in the waking state, it is reflected in the physical body.
Correct.
In the dream state, it is reflected in the mind, predominantly. In the sleep state, it is reflected in the causal body. That causal body is something which is difficult to cross over. The waking body and the dream body, it's easy to understand. That reflection which is there, see, without the reflection of consciousness, there cannot be any experience. So that you should remember. And see, it is this reflection which is the power, which is called as the Maya Shakti.
Yeah.
Consciousness by itself is existing, that is called as Brahman, Nirgunam Brahman. World is existing, that is what is called as Saguna Brahman. Saguna means with guna and without guna. What causes, what is in between this Saguna Brahman? You see, when we look at the world, this is a very important question you've asked. We normally try to think that there is some Brahman somewhere and all that. You see, while experiencing the world itself, you should know that this is the nature of Brahman itself. This is what is Brahman. It is the same Nirgunam Brahman which is experienced as Sagunam Brahman. And reflection, why do we say it is reflection? For the mind to understand, we are bringing the concept of reflection. You see, reflection means what? Like, I am there and there is a mirror, right? In the mirror, when the mirror comes, my face gets automatically reflected. Similarly, when my mind wakes up, consciousness automatically gets reflected in the mind, and then the mind gets a power. See, in our mind alone, we can experience consciousness. Mind is very important for us. In my mind, I can feel that consciousness because that is what is reflection. Are you able to understand the reflection now?
Yes, Shekhar. I got it.
Okay. Anybody else has a question?
Another question is, what is the difference between Maya and Ishvara Srishti? Like your Sattva Guna, is Ishvara Srishti only Sattva Guna?
Yes,
and
yes.
Maya is
You see,
Rajaguna and the Tamoguna.
Correct. See, Ishvara Srishti is creation, which we see is as creation, as an effect. Then our eyes, when the sense organs are able to perceive the world, it is called as creation. Right? I'm seeing a world of the five sense organs only. There is nothing else in the world apart from what the objects are of the sense organs. Eyes can see color, eyes can see form, ears can hear the sound. So that what is being experienced is only the five sense objects. Ishvara Srishti, when you say Ishvara Srishti, it is basically, it is a power in Ishvara. It is a power, like, you see, that is what in one of the slides I was explaining, that like we have a power to create the dream world. See, you also have a power. Every night you go to sleep. Sometimes you dream. What is that power? There is a power in you, right? In this body, there is a dream which happens and which goes away.
Yes.
So similarly, in the Lord, who is creator of the whole universe, which you see outside, for example, you see a mountain, you see a tree. Now, these are not created by the jiva. It is not my body which has created the mountain outside, the rivers outside, the world outside. Now, what is that? That is what is called as Ishvara Srishti. There is someone which is existing outside this body. Now, that power, like I have a power in the mind to think. The power of this Ishvara is called as Maya. Maya has got three gunas: Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. See, like I also have a mind. My mind also has Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. Due to Tamas, I go to sleep every night. Due to Rajas, I work in the morning, evening. I work. Right now, I'm working. I'm hearing. I'm talking. I'm sleeping. You know, these are all the powers. So that is what is called as I have a miniature power. The Lord has got a maxi power. That maxi power is called as Maya. The power in me is called as avidya. Okay, in me the power, it is only a term. It's only a term given to explain what is this power. Maya is also three gunas. Avidya is also of the same three gunas. There is ignorance. You see, avidya means what? You see, ultimately, whatever we experience in our sleep state is that Maya power. Is that avidya power. It's a miniature form of Maya Shakti. Are you getting somewhere close to what you have doubt? I mean, are you able to understand?
Yes, Shekarji, I could get it.
Okay, good. Very good. Yeah. Anybody else has a question?
Yes, sir. A reflected consciousness. Can you be kind to please explain once again?
Good. See, reflected consciousness means I will. See, let's take the example of my original face and a mirror. Okay, that will be easy to understand first.
Yeah.
My original face is in me. I am the original face. In the mirror, when the mirror comes in front, somebody brings the mirror in front, I can see my reflection in the face. So this much you will know, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, you exist in the sleep state. You don't doubt, you have no doubt about it that you are there.
Yes.
Now, take that as your face, as your real face.
Okay.
Okay, now that is the starting point. Very important point, because many seekers, they miss this point. They keep looking at the reflection and think that, then they try to find out what is the reflection, what is original face and all that. Then you will never be able to find out the reflection face. You should start from who I am in my sleep state, that is the original phase. That is called as consciousness. I exist. In the sleep state, I do not experience the body. I do not experience I am a male or a female. I don't experience I am rich or poor. I don't experience I am young or old, but I exist. That existence is what is called as the original nature, or like in the example, I told you original phase.
Yeah.
That original phase should be compared to consciousness, the pure existence. If you have understood this, now the next example is, now you are looking at the mirror and you're seeing the reflection in the mirror. That is the second stage. In the example. In your real case, what now you should say, oh, the waking state has come. I can see Ajita Kumar. I can see this form. I can see age. In the reflection, you can see the mind with thoughts. The reflection is experienced in 3 levels: waking, dream, and sleep. All 3 are reflections only. Three levels of experiences. All the 3 are reflections of what? That original consciousness which I came to know through the scriptures, that is my real nature. See, the scriptures are telling me that in the sleep state, I alone am there as Sat Chit Ananda Swarupa Atma. I cannot forget that. I have to hold on to that.
Yes.
And then now I look at the waking state, I see Ajita with the form, Ajita is rich, Ajita is poor, Ajita has got all those are individual features of the body and the mind only. It is not the real face. It is a reflection of that consciousness in that body and mind. You see, the original, what I experienced as now, I already understood what is that pure face, pure consciousness. Now, in the waking state, there is a reflection of that consciousness, which is the enlivening factor of the body and mind.
Okay.
You see, that is the enlivening factor only. That's all. It is the rest of the features of the body and mind is not belonging to that original reflection. It belongs to the body.
Body and mind is not belonging to that reflection. That is belonging to consciousness.
That's correct. Now you got it. Body mind is a separate entity. If the body is burned or body is buried or whatever happens to body is as per the law of karma. You see, that has got nothing to do with this reflection and the original consciousness, which is called as Paramatma.
Okay.
See, what Veda wants to convey to me is drop identification with this reflection. And just to say, I am that pure consciousness. That's all. That means you have to basically give up your ego in the body. That I am the body, I am the mind. This is the problem. This is a orientation which I have gathered in my several births. I have been thinking I'm the body, I'm suffering, I'm old, I'm young. This is a thought which is there in my mind.
Yeah.
The Veda wants to erase this thought from your mind. I am the body, forget about it. You're not the body, you are Atma.
Yes.
The Veda is coming to teach that mind. Oh, mind, don't grieve. You are not the mind. You are Atma, pure consciousness, which is immortal. It is always there. You have forgotten Every time you start going into the world of Maya, Maya means it is all delusion only. Throughout the day, what are you doing in the world? You're only you're deluded. Your mind is deluded and thinking about 100 things in the world and getting caught up in the web, you know. I'm suffering here, I'm suffering there, I have this problem, I have that problem. These are all illusions.
Illusions. Yeah.
Come out of your illusions. Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Govindam Bhaja. Come on.
Come on.
Come on, think of that Shakti in you to which is telling you, come out of that Maya, come out of that illusion. The whole waking state, dream state, and the sleep state are the three reflections. Like you see the three buckets of water and you see reflection of the sun in three buckets of water.
Yes.
Similarly, the consciousness is seeing itself in the waking state with this body. Consciousness is seeing in the dream state with the mind. And consciousness is seeing the causal body, which is the ignorant state, which is
sleeping.
Yeah. So what Veda is trying to tell you is, stop seeing the reflection as you. Go to that original phase which I described right in the beginning. You are the pure Atma. In Atma, there is no sorrow at all, because sorrow is only experienced when the mind is there. This is a very important point you should register.
Okay.
Without the mind in operation, there is no sorrow. It should register in your mind. My mind is there, I'm experiencing sorrow. In sleep, there is no mind, there is no sorrow. So why am I thinking that waking state is real and sleep state is not real? Veda is coming to tell me that waking state is not real. Sleep state, you are all alone, you are happy or not? Yes. In the sleep state, are you happy? Are you experiencing any sorrow in sleep? No.
No.
Nothing, no sorrow, nothing. Then who are you? Why are you thinking that I am the waking state? I'm not the one who is in the sleep state. Veda is coming to wake you up from that sleep state and tell you, Jagrata, get up. Oh, you know, that is what Nachiketa was told in Kathopanishad. Come on, wake up. To all the souls, Veda is coming to relieve us from the ignorance which we have been having for a very, very, very long time, you know.
Yes.
And the moment you wake up to this real nature, you will never forget. You will never have any problem of samsara. You'll say, come on, samsara is coming and going, but then this samsara is not there in my sleep state.
Yeah.
So I'm free.
That is the that is the real nature. We have to cultivate that thought.
Correct. That's right. You have to start building up that thought and say, this is my real nature. This is not my real nature. I'm always happy is my real nature. I am disturbed. I am suffering is in incidental nature. It is coming because of some prarabdha karma. It will go away when the body dies. When the body goes away, all the sorrows ends for that body. But the Swarupam, like I said, gave you the example of the heat in the water and heat in the fire. Heat in the fire is the intrinsic nature. Heat in the water is incidental nature. Consciousness in the mind is an incidental nature of the mind. Consciousness in the mind in the waking state. You see, your mind is conscious now.
Yeah.
But this is mind plus consciousness is there. But what is the original nature? Consciousness.
Consciousness only.
Yes, consciousness only is the original nature. It can remain as that pure consciousness with body or without body.
Yeah.
It is my own experience. I am there without the body.
Yeah.
That is what Veda wants to reveal.
Yeah, in sleep we are without a body.
Correct.
Our consciousness is only active.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Good question. Thank you.
Yeah. Dhanyavada.
Yeah. Anybody else has any other question for today? Okay, so we'll catch up next week, next Wednesday, and then, like I said, there'll be some 3-4 weeks break. You can take up one or two texts from our website for your own study, personal study for the next 4 weeks.
Okay.
Okay, you have the website. Go to www.vedantastudents.com website.
Okay.
And I have put a new guide for how to see the website. In the website, I have put a guide. You can go through that guide first. It will help you to select one text or one small topic. You can just revise.
Yes, sir. Is Sadhana Panchadam is there?
Yeah, it is there. Sadhana Panchakam, it should be there. I think in some form it shall be there. It may not be there in actual with the descriptions. It'll not be there.
With the comments, no.
No, I don't think I've done Sadhana Panchakam so far. I'm just doing the meditation of Sadhana Panchakam now in these sessions. I have never done Sadhana Panchakam before.
Okay.
Okay, but Dakshinamurti Stotram is there. You can go through that.
Okay.
It's a very beautiful stotra.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Good night.